Hello, 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 y'all. How are you guys doing? What's going on? I'm not used to coming on the Monday because I've been taking classes and we are on break this week. So I'm excited to be here in front of you guys. So listen, I'm super, super excited to come on today. I'm your girl, Dr. T. OD, and I am just here and just coming on to say, hey, what's going on? I miss you guys. I haven't been on live because I've been in school a little bit. I made sure I came on Saturdays because that's my inspiration moment. If any of you saw today's post about Motivation Mondays, usually Mondays I put Money Mondays, but this time I woke up and said, you know what, I need to create something for you guys to kind of motivate you, because we are now entering, a difficult season and a difficult time within our nation and with many, many businesses. Okay. So if you are in transition and if you are like saying, Dr. T, this is hard. This is basically something that I am just not used to. Me neither. So as I've been saying all along, actually since March, it's almost as if we have to start at ground zero. So when you are starting at ground zero, you need to be a little cautious, and it's actually almost like starting all over. So you definitely have a point from here until 2021 to kind of decide what you're going to do. And so if you are a new entrepreneur, if you are an already existing entrepreneur and you're like, you know what, I got this idea and I really don't know how to do it. Well, you know what? Just do it. Begin anywhere. That's my little motto that I have in the academy. Begin anywhere. So today, what we're going to go over is some of those beginnings of how you can just begin anywhere. So let me tell you why. I've been in practice for over 22 years, basically in business for over 22 years. I'm an out of the box thinker. I don't do things that everybody else does. Although I created Sustain Your Biz Academy for the entrepreneur in mind, that we are going to cultivate businesses. And so it's my goal to help 100 businesses within the next 50, for 2021, for 52 weeks, that we can now cultivate our businesses and make sustainable business choices. And one of the things that I'm so super excited about is a brainchild of mine, and that is the Sharp Sexy Sisters event that we will be having quarterly. And that's one of the ways that you can create your own business and create what I call opportunities for improvement. And that is networking. It's a free event. You come in, you get that pass, right? You get that pass. It's bit.ly/SYBASSS for Sharp Sexy Sisters, December DEC, and it's free. So that is our free pass to get into the event. We also have an all access pass where our speakers have created workshops for you. And there you can learn what their secrets are and how they started their stuff. So I know we will have a mixture of speakers in, and I'm not sure if any of our speakers is on today. If they are watching, I know sometimes John Michael watches. I may be able to try to get him in too. So yeah, so those are one of the things that we kind of talk about. How do you start a business? You want to come in, John? I can send you a link. I can send you a link real quick. Yeah, so if you definitely want to think about starting a business, you definitely want to consider that, right? Because it's just It's just one of those things, it's just one of those things. So I'm going to bring one of our speakers on. You know how I do, y'all. Sometimes my stuff is planned, like today is planned, but you know what? As an entrepreneur, you don't always have it to be so what I call butthurt sometimes. You don't have to always do things quite exactly as you want it to go. You have room to move around. I'm going to send him a thingy, and we will bring John in because this is one of our speakers, you guys, and this wasn't planned. So we are going to make it happen. I was trying to get things planned, but you know what? It is what it is. So I just sent him a link. Let's see what's happening. So you'll be hearing from one of our speakers real quick. This is one of those things that we could do today. So that you know that I'm speaking the truth about our amazing event that's coming up. I got to say that again. I got to put that in. Our amazing event that is coming up, So yeah. So one of the things that, is important to understand is you need to just begin anywhere. So again, one of the things that I talk about is, or we need to talk about, is how do you build street credibility? So I'll wait to see if John Michael can come on. Like that's one of the things, like creating your street cred, right? That's one tip. The other tip is, what free resources can you rely on? It's free, guys. Get it now. Free resources when you are starting your business, and then just being able to realize, like, when will you be able to look for outside help? So that's when a life coach, a business coach like myself comes in at. So we'll talk about those three things today. Awesome. We got John Michael. Hold on. Technology, y'all. I got to get him in. Hold on. Got to add him to it. Hey.
Hey, what's going on? How are you, Dr. T?
Good. Hey, John. How are you?
I'm doing well. This has really been coming on pretty nicely. I took a well-earned vacation. My oldest daughter just came in from school. She goes to Vanderbilt, and she wanted to fly into Miami. And since that's just a few hours down the road from where we live, we said, hey, let's meet you down in Miami.
Okay.
So I'm just sitting on the balcony relaxing there. She's actually working. My daughters, I'm so amazed. Like, they haven't stopped working. We're blessed throughout the pandemic. Even while she was at school, they're tutors for Kumon Learning Center. Okay. So both of my daughters have been doing that remotely, running the Zoom, running the meetings. So like the lady that runs it, early on, my daughters had they just stepped up and said, hey, we can do it. And even if it wasn't something they couldn't do immediately, they came home and learned and practiced. And now, they're running the Zoom calls and the breakout rooms. So, we
might have to pull them in. We have to pull them in. We'll talk about that. We got to have a meeting. But listen, you guys, this is John Michael. He's actually a family friend. And it's funny how things happen, especially in the midst of COVID. Facebook kind of connects people, y'all. Y'all need to realize that. He has his own podcast. And so talk about that, and don't give them too much, because we want to get that
tip to come out. Yeah.
Okay. But just talk a little bit about yourself. You're a family man, and one of the things that we're talking about tonight is, do you really need experience to start your own business?
I mean, no. I mean, I have to say it starts with a passion. I think all the years, different jobs you've had over the years, school, all you need is a little bit of knowledge. And, with technology and the internet, you can find the information you need. Like I've always had a love of films, books, theater. I minored in theater, film and theater at City College in New York. My major was communication, but I never did anything with it outside of, small projects, supporting friends over the years. I went through the whole thing right after school of, going on auditions, all those different things that was struggling actor in New York. And it just wasn't for me, not in the sense that I wasn't creative. I'm just, it's hard for actors, creators. It's hard because you're unemployed most of the time. That's just a simple fact. Even your most famous actors and creators, they're unemployed most of the time in between jobs. But I still wanted to create. I still enjoyed it, but I wanted to go out. I was, getting married, had a young kid. Well, in that order, I got married, then I had a kid. Just to be clear.
Be clear.
But it just wasn't the right time. And here, all these years later, I've been working in corporate finance for years, for almost 20 years. Married for 20 years, 2 daughters, 2 teenagers, one a freshman in college, one a freshman in high school. But I never gave up that love of telling stories, for writing and creating. And I had the technical skills, that I kept making sure I stayed on top of things as more technology came out. Gone were the days of me editing film on a flatbed, cutting it manually.
Telling your age now.
Exactly. Doing audio the same way, reel to reel. Technology kept improving. Then, podcasts took off with the iPod, and then later the iPhone. But I listened to them, but I never dabbled in them. Then about 5 years ago, I was like, you know what? I'm just going to do it. Why not? I love this stuff. And I had some equipment that I had just, little thing here, little thing there over the air, microphones, cameras, just different things. And one day I said, you know what? I'm going to do it. I was talking to somebody at work that was a fellow book nerd. And I was like, you know what? This person had a blog. And I was like, I write. So I started with a blog, and I was like, this isn't enough for me. I want to talk. I want to, interview people. I want to, I still have a lot of friends, that are actors, that are, that are doing all different type of things. And I said, you know what? I like talking to people. I like people telling their stories. So, and I have tons of stories with the different things I love in film, theater, art. And I said, you know what? I could throw together a 30-minute show and just talk. And I just started it. And then slowly but surely, I got my website. I came up with the multifarious man. I was trying to think of something catchy, like Renaissance man.
Yep.
And, and I said, this is different. And I hadn't heard that before. I love, my words of the day and dictionaries, and that stuck. And then I just started slowly just creating content.
So that's where we are now. I think with you're honing into the first tip I'm talking about today is basically, even if you don't have that experience, what have you just done? You definitely need you need to create your own street cred. You need to let people know who you are. So, and that's how you are going to build your relationships. You just heard from John saying that, hey, he knew people, and if they're going to support you, they're going to support you. If they're not, they're not. However, the one thing that I've noticed over this time, I've started kind of getting more in. John could tell you he's been following. I've been trying to get on more a little bit, since like April, May. And I knew it was going to happen. That phone ringing. So, since April, May, that, underlyingly, people will send me messages like, Dr. T, I really love your stuff, because I'm thinking that nobody's watching.
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking like, oh, here I go. I'm just twiddling my thumbs. I'm creating content. Like you said, I knew nothing about creating content, people. Nada, nothing, knew nothing. Just took this time during this pandemic to really learn and really put myself out there. And so one of the things that I really recommend, and this is what I'm trying to build up, is that sustainable coach, that sustainable life coach, and that sustainable business coach, because I've had 2 along the way. I had one that kind of that jump started this whole thing. And then now I have one that's really, I text her, I talk to her, if like even with the conference, it's like, you need to do this, you need to do that. Oh, really? I didn't know that. So those are some of the things that a life coach or a business coach can help you with. So we talked about street cred. You just put that in there. And one of the things that she told me was, Doc, you got all this stuff behind you and nobody knows that.
And that's right. You have to be afraid to not put it out. I mean, it's you put out in bits, but it's about consistency. And I realized that even though I've been doing the show for 5 years, I was more consistent in the beginning because I had that zeal, that excitement. I was doing a show a week. Like seriously, like it, and that's how I am. I mean, I would script the show out. Like I'd have my, using, my iPad, I would write out the main points and then I would just talk. So it wasn't scripted in the sense that I was reading word for word, but I had my main ideas and then you kind of break it down. So you got to do some work for whatever you're doing. And I've noticed that a lot since I've been following you is, it just seemed like there were little things, the world and, I'm very, religious. So God was saying, hey, you have these gifts, and I kept not listening. And it was just like, use them. Then suddenly the pandemic happened, and all of a sudden I found myself in a position where the church had a need for someone that knew something about Zoom, that knew something about, recording. So all of a sudden there was a need. All these different things happened with all these ministries all at once. Yep. And anytime they asked, I said, sure, I'll teach people how to do it. Sure, I'll lead this. Sure. But it wasn't overwhelming. This was something that I had studied for, went to school for, and this is something I continued to learn. So now all of a sudden it was being applied. So now all of a sudden that interest, that zeal was back for me. So now I went back to now doing my own things, decided to, invest in, having someone create a professional logo, having someone create my web. So all these little different things that I was doing on my own, you have to learn. That's one of the things I'm learning is it's okay to, like you're saying, networking and finding other people that are the experts at what you want. Because you don't have to know everything.
Exactly. And that's why, and that was one of the things, that's the vision for Sustain Your Business Academy and Sustain Your Biz LLC. I can give you the foundational principles of, starting a business like from A to Z. But if you want to start your own podcast, you want to start, if you, want to do your podcast, like I started my podcast, I'm gonna have to hit you up with trying to get it going. But, I started the podcast and then it was like, which one am I going to do? So I said, let me just stick with the Facebook right now. Let's stick with the StreamYard. Let's build that up. And then we'll stream it to the podcast. Because the idea is now, and it's funny because what happened Sunday, which I'm probably going to tell my pastor, because I've been telling him to put content in a podcast. My husband has it streaming, but he's not watching it. He's just listening. So some people do want to just listen and not have to watch. So those are some of the other things. So y'all need to be in here because John's gonna create a workshop. If you're interested in podcasting, you need to get the all access pass. I probably need to put the all access pass up there.
Yeah, and I'm really looking forward to sharing some, the tips and things that I discovered along the way, so people don't have to go through the same, stumbling blocks. And I'm really looking forward to it because I learned some things along the way, and fortunately I didn't have to learn things the hard way.
Right.
But put them into basic tips on how to get started, things to do. And, and there's things I'm still learning, when it comes to promoting myself, because it's just never been, it's never been in me. And I've had to learn to do it. It's okay to tell people about something you're doing. And like you said, either they're going to be interested or they're not. And maybe they may not be interested, but they may pass it on to someone else that is interested. But being consistent is the key thing. And if you pay attention, a lot of these social media influencers, these streamers, all these things, it's all about the consistency, paying attention to, you sent us a note the other day for the other speakers for the conference, that pay attention to things like analytics, pay attention to things like when you post, when people tend to
and all of that
follow
I
you.
learned, you
It
guys.
is so important, because you could post the same thing at 8 a.m. and get no response. The same thing you might post at noon when people are supposed to be working, but they're at lunch or they're in a meeting in the middle of the day, and then all of a sudden you get a whole bunch of response. So pay attention to things like that, and it might make all the difference in the world. Hashtags, all those different things, just pay attention, and if you follow just look at the people that are the top in all of their different industries, and you'll notice certain things. They've learned these things along the way.
There's a little bit behind that too, because I talked about that on a live, and actually I have a photo shot. I have a photo shot. I have a screenshot of that. Don't forget, you guys, even those that are influencers, and you see that they have all these followers, some of them are paid followers.
That is exactly right.
We don't get paid follows here. We are actually working to produce content, to produce stuff for you guys so that you will learn. We are doing it authentically. We're not paying anybody to get, I'm gonna put it up a little later, because a lot of these places, again, I talked to you, and I wanted to show you proof, because I did do a talk on that. You're probably like, Dr. T, where are you getting this information from? I'm telling you, people buy likes. So we have John Michael. He's going to be one of our speakers at the Sharp Sexy Sisters conference, and this theme is the voices of our brothers, because we've been into this whole feminist movement and everything like that. I get it. I love sisterhood, but we can't forget and we can't negate our brothers, because at the end of the day, we could say that we are their backbone, but they're our backbone too. So John Michael, I put the call out, as y'all saw it on Facebook. He came up, he did, but it's a little bit more than that of what I'm trying to create here at Sustain Your Biz Academy. And that is a community of entrepreneurs that you have your skill, you have your gift, and you use that within the community. Okay. And so that's what I'm trying to cultivate here, because I can't do it all. And as John said, we've learned certain things, but over the years of our industry, and I think a lot of us have so many little nuggets that we can kind of create something here so that we can build a legacy for not only for our families, really. And so, this online world, as I said to somebody, it's 3.81 billion people on the internet.
And that's going to explode as they find ways to bring internet access to everyone on the planet, to make it accessible to everyone. That's just going to explode. And there's just so many untapped resources, and it's just people are just soaking up knowledge. And you want to make sure you're putting out authentic content, and you got to be authentic, and
that's why I had to do that old school thing this morning. I was like, I love this, I got to put this out there. So I was like, hey, no more. But the only thing, so have you found that you're on Facebook more or less?
More, just more in a, I wouldn't say a targeted way. Just I try to put more positive things out there. I'm always concerned that, am I putting out something or spreading something that's false, that's incorrect, or am I adding something positive that people can learn from? So I try
adding value.
I try to make sure if I share an article, I make sure I read it first. If I'm posting a link to something, I make sure I check it out first.
Yes.
Because one, I think reputation is everything. And I want to make sure people understand that if I'm putting something out there, they should be able to trust it. But at the same time, people have short attention spans, and people don't always like to do the full digging. So I'm going to make sure I do it before I post it. because the next person may not do the same thing. And then, and it's not to go beat down on anyone. That's just not how I was raised. And I'm going to make sure I do the digging and then put it out there. So that way, if it's tied back to my link or my site or my podcast, you're going to say, you know what, I learned something I didn't know before, as opposed to, oh, you're just putting out garbage into the world. And that's the last thing.
You just put that on there because with the second point is networking is a free resource, right? So if you're going and you're liking both of our pages, I'll put that in the link once we get off. And talking to others in the industry, learning new things about it will be to your advantage, right? You should always ask for advice before you jump right in to start asking for advice. However, break the ice with some small talk first. Get to know some people before asking a lot of business questions. So that also goes, I had to learn a lesson with one of these Facebook groups. Like, you can't just go on people's Facebook page and want to just be putting stuff out there. So it just says, in fact, you can treat this more like a social outing. So when you're in those Facebook groups, you want to be in there so that people can know you, but you don't want to put your stuff out there and just like, hey, come get my product. Yep. I had to learn that the hard way. So, which I didn't know. So sorry.
And you'll find people will ask, eventually when you break the ice, it's just like in person when you meet people and you're doing the small talk, eventually it gets around saying, what do you do? Like, what can, and that's kind of gets out there at some point. It can happen organically. It really does. At some point people will start, and I think everybody's guilty of the same thing. And they see someone that posts a comment they like in a page that they like, they start clicking and start, digging and doing the internet sleuthing, or they start following their pages, looking at what they like and go, oh, this person, and to see this person has some pretty interesting stuff, I'm gonna reach out to them. I'm the king of doing that. I don't have a problem if I've gone back and forth with comments with someone, I don't have a problem sending them a direct message, say, hey, I noticed something, could you point me, or I don't have a problem at that point doing it. One thing I try to make sure that I don't call people out. I'm not going to be negative in a public forum, because sometimes people, you don't know what people are going through. You don't know how they respond to something
with the youth,
and you just have to be aware of that, and just but don't be afraid to don't be so quick to be upset if someone comes at you. Like we said, if somebody comes at you sideways, you don't always have to react with the same energy. Sometimes take a step back and just like, okay, maybe this person was not having a good day. I don't have to go back at them the same way. And, but you'll find out a lot about what people do. There's a lot of talented people out there that you didn't even know they did stuff. And it's just because we're so afraid to speak. Some people have that gene in them where they don't have a problem. They'll tell you everything. They'll get on stage and be like, yeah, I do this and this. But some people, some of the most talented people in the world, you wouldn't even known that they know these things, because it's just not in them to put it out there. But yet, once they do, then all of a sudden it's like it's a faucet. It's like, whoa, you have some really good knowledge, and and that's how communities get built.
Yeah, and so and you hit the hammer on the nail about communities being built, because again, I could say the one thing I know for me for a fact, like I was just talking with my aunt and my uncle today about learning stuff. And for me, I feel as though I need to learn stuff. Like my aunt just said, oh my God, your graphics are amazing. And I'm like, really? And they're like, yeah, I said, I'm just putting stuff together. She was like, and I was like, well, wait a minute, people go to school for that. And I just learned it in 30 days, so, and I'm like, okay, maybe there is something to this, but I also do it because number one, money is funny right now. And as an entrepreneur, I'm of the mindset you need to learn how to do it yourself.
Yep.
That you know what you're looking for when somebody else, and you're giving that task to somebody else, when you're giving that job to somebody else. So I always tell people in my office, like everybody does everything in my office. And when they come in, as far as we'll talk about that in the summit, but when you come and you train your staff, they know every aspect of the business except for what you got to do. because
Yep.
they can't beat you. However, if somebody slacks off, somebody needs to be able to, pull up and do the other thing. They just can't be the doctor or whatever. But the one thing I always say that, optometry school didn't teach me business. So yes, I learned stuff, some of it the hard knock way, and some of it was like, Dr. You need to take this course. Dr. You need to do this. You need to, you need to do that. And so what I'm trying to build is a place where people can go to say, hey, that's in a reasonable cost. I want to learn, I want to do better, and I don't want to make these mistakes. And if we can help you in any way to not make those mistakes, if you want to do your own podcast, that's where John Michael comes in. He's going to do a workshop on doing a podcast from A, B, and C. Is that how you do it?
ABC,
A, B, and C. And so we're going to talk about that and get that going, but you got to get that ticket. You see right there, get that ticket. It's free. But the all access pass, if you go onto the academy, you'll see the workshop, which it's going to cost you a little bit. It ain't that. It's not going to be that much. But that's where you get the all access pass and you get to meet all of the speakers. John Michael is one. He in Miami, y'all. I'm in Philly. It's getting cold. I'm right now.
I tell you what, I do not miss the Northeast. I still miss Laurelton, but I don't miss the Northeast.
Shout out to Laurelton
this time of year, because it's cold. It's starting to get cold. So, that's one thing. I don't miss the snow. I miss the food, but I don't miss the snow.
Well, how you miss the food when you down there? All that
oh man, that's one thing, because I live in Northeast Florida, but down here, man, I've been eating some good Caribbean food all week. I miss that. Had me some curry goat, some oxtail.
I just hold on. I did. Oh, you was part of that live the question, like, which one is better? Which one you like better? Oxtail, curry. People want oxtail. They don't want curry goat.
You know what? I don't know why, but man, oxtail been expensive lately. But
I know.
But man, I'll take it. You know what it is? Oxtail, I think probably more people know how to make. People don't always get the curry goat right. So I think that's why maybe that's what it is.
That could be it.
But I'll take them both. I won't kick them out.
So listen, y'all, we're getting ready to wrap it up. This is your girl, Dr. T, with Sustain Your Biz Academy. We have John Michael Butler here with, and I'm going to mess it up. So you say the name.
The Multifarious Man Podcast.
There you go. Because I've been practicing, but I'm not there yet. So I'm hosting Sharp Sexy Sisters December 13th. We're going to have an amazing group. We're working behind the scenes. We're working behind the scenes backstage to just make sure that we can put on an amazing virtual event for you guys. We have some amazing sponsors. John Michael is one of them. And we also just have those pictures that you saw me in. My photographer, they will be sponsoring as well. That's amazing. And you'll get to hear more from them as well about professional headshots, what that does for yourself and in business. And I just spoke with my business coach. She was like, yeah, you're supposed to have one quarterly. I'm like, whew, that's too much. My last one was probably about 10 years ago. So I knew I had to.
I took some pictures recently. I think the last time I actually had professional headshots was right when I was getting out of college, and you needed headshots if you wanted to go on auditions. So I couldn't pull out the one where I'm still 16 and I got the little I got the little high top fade.
So you got to do that. But listen, we are entrepreneurs, and it's Monday, it's 5. But we know that in this time, in this season, that people are going through. But we just wanted to come on and say, you can still get through this. We will all be better for it. It is hard. It is tough, and we don't want to make anything less than what it is. Mm-hmm. But we also want to bring hope as an entrepreneur, as entrepreneurs, that we're still in the game, and no matter what you decide to do, that if you want to go and get your ticket. It's free so that you can be empowered, so you can learn what other entrepreneurs are doing. I mean, literally, we have speakers from the north to the south that are coming in, at least on this side of the country. We don't have anybody from California yet. I'm working on it. But we definitely have people that are going to have your best interest in mind. So get right there. I'm always backwards. Get your ticket, right? Get your free ticket. And what do I always say? I don't know if John knows this, but here at Sustain Your Biz Academy and your girl, Dr. T, I want you to win in this season. What does winning mean? Welcoming in the new you, investing in yourself, and to never, ever give up on you. You guys, this was definitely a blessing because I'm usually preparing for school. And on Monday nights, I'm in Master's Divinity program. So yeah, so y'all got a treat today with John coming on, and he's showing his little background from being in Miami. We're getting a chance to see the sunset, y'all. Sunset. So take care, and hopefully we'll see you tomorrow on Girl Talk. I'll see how many of the other speakers can come on tomorrow at 8:00, and we're going to try to get that going for you guys. We're pushing sharp, sexy sisters and the voices of our brothers. Take care.
Take it easy.
Be blessed. Don't hang up yet. Oh, he hung up.